Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Mr. Ainsworth, and we're going to get through the factoring quiz we took the other day. Quiz number 2, factoring polynomials. So get out your red pens and get ready to fix your mistakes. Okay? Red pens only, because I want you to be able to see how to do it right. Okay? Red pens only doing corrections. All right, so let's pause right now. Let's pause the video. Everybody that's watching this video here, get out your red pens. And Cameron, and all you guys out there, and Andre and Brooke and period one and everybody get out your red pens. All right, here we go. What we want to do is correct our mistakes. So right here on the first two problems, these are third degree four-term polynomials, and we want to factor by grouping. So let's put that out there. We went through a lot of examples in this. In fact, the last 2 weeks, that's all we did is factor by grouping. All right, that's the technique that was used for these. Here's your first grouping, here's your second group. All right, it's a two-step procedure. All right, I know that 2 divides into 6 and 8, and I know that they have an n squared in common. So I'm going to factor out a 2n squared. So 2n squared times, let's see, 4n will give us our first term. 2 times 4 is 8. N squared times n is n cubed. 2n squared times 3 will give us a second term, so I need a plus 3 there. I check by distributing back through. There's nothing in common here with the 4 and 3, so I can't factor it out, and the fourth term doesn't have an n, so I can't even factor out a variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it look like a group. Okay, I'm going to put the 4n plus 3 in parentheses here, and I'm going to put the 1 in front so you can see the coefficient. Notice right here that I have a binomial in common. That always happens in this technique. So I'm going to factor that out. So I've got a 4n plus 3 times my remaining terms, the 2, excuse me, let me get my highlighter, my 2n squared plus 1, and that goes right here in the second group. So I've got times 2n squared plus 1. You see that? Factor by grouping. If you have your notes out, look at them. It's a two-step procedure every single time. On the second one here, we got first group, we got a second group. In the first group, I noticed that both are divisible by 3. All right, 3 divides into 15 5 times and into 6 2 times. I also noticed that they have an x squared in common. So I got to factor out a 3x squared. So since 3 times 5 is 15, I need a 5 here. X squared times x is x cubed. I need an x there. Plus plus. 3 times 2 is 6. Usually, even at 6 o'clock in the morning for you guys. And on the second group here, I noticed that there's a negative in common, and they're both divisible by 7. So I got to factor out a negative 7. So since negative 7 times 5x is negative 35x, I'm good there. And negative 7 times a positive 2 gives me that negative 14. I got the second group. They obviously have a 5x plus 2 in common, so we're going to factor that out. And I multiply it by the remaining terms, 3, got to get my highlighter here, 3x squared minus 7. That goes in my second group. Right here, 3x squared minus 7. That's called factor by grouping, guys, okay? We've been working on it for 2 weeks now. It's all about how to factor out the greatest common factor, okay? Now in this one here, it's not a trinomial, so we don't do what I just said. All right, we just factor out what's in common. All right, I notice they're both divisible by 4. So divide out of 4, factor out of 4, or distribute out of 4, however you want to think about it. 4 times 2r is 8r, and 4 times 3 is 12. It's that simple. You check by distributing back through. 4 times 2r is 8r. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Simple. These are both divisible by 10, and they both have an n in common, so I need to factor out a 10m. 10 times 5 is 50. M times m squared is m cubed. Also notice this is 10m times 5m squared plus just 10m times 1. Notice that they have a 10m in common, okay? So I factor that out, I put it here, I multiply it by the remaining terms, 5m plus 1. That goes right here, 5n plus 1. That's how the GCF is done. On this one here, I noticed that all are negative, so I need to factor out a negative. All are divisible by 3, and all contain at least one x. See, look at that. So I factor it out. And if you know how to multiply, it's easy. negative 3 times 5 is negative 15, and I already have the x there, so negative 3x times 5 is negative 15x. Negative 3x times 3 will give me the negative 9, and x times x squared will give me the x cubed. And negative 3 times 10 will give me negative 30, and x times x cubed will give me the negative 30x to the fourth. You check by distributing back through the polynomial. That's all you do. Here on this one, a 9, 6, and 18 both all are divisible by 3, and they have an m cubed in common. They all have at least 3 m's, right? This m to the fourth, m to the eighth, this is m to the third, so they have 3 m's in common, or m cubed in common. So you factor it out. 3 times 3 is 9. M cubed times m to the fifth is m to the eighth. 3 times 2 is 6, and m cubed times m and give you the m to the fourth. And 3 times 6 is 18, and I factored all the m's out, so we're good there. Again, you check by distributing. Okay, I keep saying that in every single lesson. It's not that hard. Okay. On this one here, they have an x in common, so factor it out. This is x times x plus 6 times x. Just look at it. They have an x in common, so I factored it out. So x times x is x squared plus x times 6 is 6x. Done. Now these next few problems here, these are the ones where you play the little game here. On number 8, negative 18 times 1, all right, is negative 18, and the middle coefficient is negative 3. So what two numbers multiply to negative 18 and add to negative 3? And 2 and 9, well, 2 times 9 or 2 times negative 9 is negative 18, but they don't add to negative 3, so bad choice there, right? Even if I make this negative and that positive, it still doesn't work. 9 plus negative 2 is negative 7. So that's bad choice. So let's learn from that. That doesn't work. So let's try it again. This one here, we've got two numbers that multiply to negative 18 and add to negative 3. So let's try 6 times 3 because that's 18, right? But one of them has to be negative. And if you want them to add to a negative, you got to have the bigger one negative. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. And so you do what we always do. We factor by grouping and you split the middle term. So this is equal to n squared. Let me write it down here. So minus 3n minus 18. I'm going to split the middle term like I show in class. N squared minus 6n plus 3n using these two factors. Look at these. Using these two factors. It's right there. And then minus 18. Factor out the common factor. 3 divides into both of these. And then factor by grouping, okay? Factor out the common factor. You factor out the n minus 6, and you multiply it by the remaining terms, n plus 3, okay? It's the same thing over and over again. We just got to get good at it. On this next one here, I have to multiply the 5 times negative 4 to get negative 20. What two numbers multiply to negative 20 and add to negative 8? All right, and that's, let me see, 10 times 2 is 20, but I got to make one negative, and I need a negative down here, so I'll make the bigger one negative. So let's split the middle term. So 5x squared minus 10x plus 2x minus 4. Once again, I just used the factors. That's all I did. I split the middle term. Right there, negative 8x is the same as negative 10x plus 2x, right? All right, so factor out the common factor of 5x. And I get x minus 2. Factor out a 2 here because they're both even, right? And then factor out the common binomial. Done. On this one here, I got to figure out what two numbers multiply to 18. 3 times 6 is 18, and add to 19. Now, 3 times 6 is 18, but they don't add to 19. But 1 in the number itself does. So split the middle term into 1 and 18. So here we go. 3k squared plus k plus 18k plus 6. Factor out a k. Factor out a 6 here because both are divisible by 6. Oh, that's incorrect. I made a little mistake there. 6 times 3k plus 1. 6 times 3k is 18k. 6 times 3k is 18k, and 6 times 1 is 6. Now we're looking good. So we have 3k plus 1 times the remaining terms, k plus 6. On the next one here, we have 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. What two numbers multiply to negative 24 and add to 2? Well, 6 times 4 is 24, but make one negative. Make the bigger one negative if you want to have a negative down here. When the two numbers add to a negative, the bigger one has to be negative. Okay? So split the middle term into its factors right here. So let's split that guy. So here we go. So 8a squared minus 6a plus 4a minus 3. All right, factor out of 2a. Oh, made a mistake there. Minus, see. So minus 3. And then 4a minus 3, there's nothing in common, right? So just group it, give it a hug, right? Put a 1 in front. Okay, and then factor out the 4a minus 3, multiply it by the 2a plus 1, the remaining factors. And last one here, we got to multiply here. There's no middle term, so I'm going to make it look like a trinomial. I'm going to put a 0x in the middle here like I did in the lesson. What two numbers multiply to negative, or 9 times negative 25? Now, 9 times 25, all right, let's see, 9 times 5, 45, 18 plus 4, 22, 225. So negative 225, and then adds to 0. Well, I know that 12 squared is 144, so it's bigger than that. I know that if these two add to 0, they got to be opposites. Okay. 13 squared is 169. 14 squared is 196. 15 squared, it ends in a 5, guys. That's a big clue. Here it is 225. So make one 15, the other one negative 15. So 9a squared plus 15x minus 15x minus 25. Factor out of 3. Oh, this is supposed to be not, you know what? These are supposed to be n's, aren't they? Okay, so let me fix this real quick. These are all supposed to be n's. No big deal, right? All right, because we use erasers. All right. All right, so 9n squared, 0n, n. Okay, these are all n's now. Okay, good. All right, so we have 3n here times 3 plus 5, 3n plus 5. 3n times 3n is 9n squared. 3n times 5 is 15n. Factor out a negative 5 here. So negative 5 times 3n, negative 5 times positive 5, there we go. So 3n plus 5 times 3n minus 5. All right, you'll notice that they have this in common, and then you multiply it by the remaining terms right there. All right, and that's it. That's all you have to do. You just have to get good at it and start doing your homework, start practicing home at night, and do something different. Start working better than you did before. Okay? And this is online. It's a video, so if you need to pause and play and watch it again and go home and practice, and no problem, do that. Okay? All right, this is Mr. Ainsworth signing off. I'll see you later in my next video. Bye-bye.